Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel Life with the Gordons. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a story time. As we all know, we're all going through this thing called the pandemic, which is a coronavirus outbreak, and a lot of people that I know, a lot of people around the world have lost a lot of loved ones, and it's been a really difficult time being on lockdown and not able to live a normal life. Sadly, on the 27th of April, almost 2 weeks ago, my father passed away, and it's been a very difficult time for me to even get myself dressed up and out of bed, and actually have some decent clothes on and hair combed and a bit of makeup on, which I haven't done in the last 2 weeks. My husband has been helping me through. He's been supportive. He's been there when I've needed to cry or needed to talk about my dad, and just constantly talking about him. And never in a million years would I have expected that this would happen. And I'm currently at the moment even still getting over the death of my sister, one of my sisters, which was last year. And what's been extremely difficult for me with the whole situation is the fact that my sister died on the 27th of April last year, and my dad died on the 27th of April this year, and it was the exact same day. And I was finding it hard coming to terms with that, because I don't know, I was just trying to find an understanding for it. You know, I'd been psyching myself up for the anniversary of my sister's death, and that was hard, like really, really hard. And I really didn't expect anything to happen to my dad. He was ill, he had cancer, as some of you might know if you follow me on Instagram. And I'd been going with him for his chemotherapy treatments. And the doctors had sounded optimistic, and they'd said, you know, he could survive and live a normal, healthy life. And he had just had his final chemotherapy, and he'd come to stay with us at our home, and he was here for 2 weeks. And then one morning he said he had a sore throat, he couldn't eat, and he went to hospital from here. And then whilst he was in hospital, they said that he had contracted COVID-19, but he had no symptoms, none whatsoever. So we was even we was even thinking, does he even have it? Because he had no symptoms whatsoever, up until the day before his death. So on the 26th of April, I got a phone call saying to me about resuscitating him if anything should happen. And I was so confused, because he was supposed to be being let out of hospital that weekend. And they kind of said to me, you know, we need you to understand the importance of the resuscitation, and why we think your father would not be a candidate for that. And I was like, not a candidate? Like, it's unquestionable whether or not you would save him if you can. And they kept going on about him having cancer, and him having a heart issue before, and him having a brain hemorrhage back when I was a small child. And they just kept saying he's basically he's not somebody they would want to do that on. But we stuck to our guns, my dad and I, and we said no, we would like him to be resuscitated. And on that day, the 26th of April, the Sunday, he had been put to oxygen because they'd said that he was struggling with breathing. And I found that so strange because the day before he was completely... In fact, Sunday morning I'd spoken to him a 40-minute phone call and he was completely fine. So when I got the phone call about that, I was so confused, and I said to them, look, I want to see my dad. I haven't seen him in 2 weeks and I'd like to see him. And they said, okay, you can come and see him, but you'll have to wear protective clothing and gown up and gloves and mask, etc. I said, yeah, that's fine. So I got dressed immediately and I went to the hospital. And when I got there, he seemed completely like himself. It was... Obviously, he was a bit weak because he hadn't been eating, as being fed by a tube. But he was a bit weak, but he was normal as in himself, like talking and stuff. He was like himself. And he said to me, oh, it seems like they're trying to write me off. Have you heard what they're saying about the resuscitation? And he was adamant to them, no, I'm going to get better and come out of here. So to me, I was kind of like, yeah, he is going to get better and come out of here. And then they showed me a scan of his lungs, and the scan didn't look very good. And they were just saying that the way the lungs are, you know, he will have difficulty later on, and that they were scarred. And still, I didn't think anything. I just didn't believe. Maybe I didn't want to believe anything. And I showed my dad, and what really, really gets me is, you know, he said, I guess that's it for me. And I kind of was like, no, Dad, you know, don't be silly, you'll be fine, you're going to be okay. And he said, oh, how? And I said, no, you will, you'll be fine, don't worry. A lot of people get pneumonia, because that's what they said he had. A lot of people get pneumonia and they actually recover from it, so you're going to be okay. And I stayed with him till around 11 o'clock that night, and I went home, and I couldn't sleep the whole night. I just couldn't sleep because I was just worried about him. And I just kept hearing in my head over and over again what they were saying about resuscitation. Yeah, a phone call had come through on my phone at around 3 a.m. and I literally jumped out of my bed, frightened out of my skull, because I thought it was a phone call from the hospital, because they did say to me, oh, we need to know what to do if he gets worse overnight. So that was ringing in my head. But it wasn't him. And then the next morning I woke up around 6 a.m. So I'd only had about 3 hours sleep. I woke up at 6 a.m. and I was anxious, like waiting to call him, but I didn't want to wake him at the same time because I knew he needed his rest. And finally, when it got to 7 something, I picked up the phone, I called him, and he answered. We spoke, and he sounded pretty normal, but I said to him, how's your breathing doing? And I said, how do you feel? And he said, I feel good. It's just the breathing that's the issue, but I feel good. And I said, okay, well, that's a good thing, Dad, you know, you're going to be okay. And then he said to me, you're kidding yourself, Sherelle. And I kind of brushed it off. I just thought that he would be okay. So I was like, oh no, Dad, you know, you're going to be fine. I said, you're going to be fine, you know, I've got faith. And that's all I have, Dad, you know, you are going to be okay. And he said to me, you're kidding yourself. And I just said, Dad, we have to hope and have faith that you're going to be alright. And he said, okay. And then I said to him, I'm going to call the doctors at 10 a.m. because that's normally when they're done on the ward and able to speak with you. And then I'm going to call you back once I've spoken to them to see if I can come and visit you today. And I didn't get through to the doctors at 10 a.m, so I thought I'd wait they said somebody would call me back. So I thought, okay, I'll wait to call Dad when somebody calls me back to let me know if I can come or not. And I got a phone call from a doctor around 11:40 in the morning, and he had then mentioned the resuscitation thing to me again, and I kind of was like, well, I don't really want to hear that because I've already made the decision that he should be resuscitated. And I told him that I asked him if I could come see my dad again, and he said yes. I told him what time I'll be coming, and said 4. And then after I come off the phone to them, I just had an urge to tell my sister and my brother to come to London and see Dad. I just thought, I didn't think anything was going to happen, but I thought they should at least come and see him. He's unwell, he's in hospital, and the fact that they're letting me in, maybe they'll let them in. But they did say to me nobody else. But I thought, even if I bring them, I will just argue for them to get in and see their dad. So we got there, and when we got there, they said only one person at a time. So I've gone up and I've seen him, and he was in a really deep sleep. I couldn't wake him. So I asked if my sister and brother can come up and be in the room with me, and they were adamant, no, we have to stick to the policy, blah blah blah. But I was just like, look, I just lost my sister last year on the same day. My dad and I share a birthday. So if you don't let my sister and brother up here and anything happens to him, it's going to be a really hard time for me. And she said, oh gosh, all right, you can do one at a push, one of your siblings at a push, and the other one wait outside, and then they swap. So I went to get them from downstairs at the main entrance, and when we got upstairs and got inside the ward, my sister and I, we'd gone in, put our protective gear on and around our dad, and we're calling him, we're tapping him, touching him, and then all of a sudden his chest wasn't rising and falling anymore. And I said, I don't think he's breathing, his chest has just stopped moving. And the person that was on the ward had said he's going to get a doctor, and he left the room. And then my sister said, oh no, Sherelle, he's breathing, because he took a breath again. And I was thinking, oh, thank God. And then my brother, a lady came over and she said, oh, is there anybody else that you said, did you say there was somebody else here with you? And I said, yes, my brother. And she said, oh, do you want him to come inside? And I said, yeah, but they said only one could come in. And she said, no, I've just spoken to her, she said that he can come in. And I was like, oh, well, yes please. So she went to get him, and then as my brother got his gear on and got in the door, my dad's chest stopped rising and falling again, and I was screaming at this point, like, he's not breathing, where's the doctor, hurry up, hurry up. And they were walking so slow, I could see them through the glass window, and they were just walking so slow, like, well, we told you we're not going to resuscitate, basically. And he took another breath. My brother entered the room, and then he took a gasp, like, and then that was it. He stopped breathing completely, and I literally lost my cool. I was screaming. I think I was on the floor. It was just the worst ever experience I've ever had to experience in my life, apart from my sister last year. But this was like a pain that I don't think I've ever felt before. So that's what's been going on for the last 2 weeks, and why I haven't been able to bring myself to make any videos, or because our YouTube channel was pretty new, and I was excited to make a go of it, and then I feel like this just knocked me back. But as everybody keeps telling me, my mum, my family and friends, you know, just keep yourself busy and do what you can do to make yourself feel better, and try not to sit at home dwelling on everything and the what ifs, because my dad wouldn't want that. And the thing I know that I'm going to struggle with is my birthday, because me and my dad, we share a birthday. I'm born on his birthday, and being his first child as well, I've spent a lot of my birthdays with him, and over the last 3 years I've spent every birthday with him. So I really don't know how I'm going to cope, and my birthday is in 2 weeks now. I really don't know how I'm going to cope with that, and I don't know how I'm going to ever enjoy a birthday again, because I'm going to be thinking about him, and him not being able to call me. Because what we would do is we'd have a competition that on our birthday we'd see who could be the first one to call each other. So if he'd call me first, I'd pick up the phone and he would quickly just be like, happy birthday, and I would try and do the same thing as well, to be the first one to say it. So I'm really, really gonna miss that. And not only that, but with my business, I worked with my dad, so I don't know how I'm gonna run my business anymore, because he was a big part of my business as well. And we spoke every single day without fail, every day. So I don't know what I'm gonna do in that sense. But I'm just thankful for all the people that have reached out and have done things to help me deal with it. Like my best friend has done shopping, my mum does shopping, and I've had people send me little gifts and flowers, and I'm just so grateful for all those people, and for the ones that actually have called and spoken to me on the phone, because a lot of people avoid people in a time of grief, and I think people need to realise that when people are grieving, they actually need you. They don't need you to avoid them or avoid talking to them because you feel they might want to be left alone. I mean, there are days when I don't want to do anything. I didn't eat for the first 7 days afterwards, but I do like the company, and I do like when people call me, so I can just get my feelings out instead of bottling them up, because it's not healthy. And we still haven't laid him to rest yet, so I've still got that to deal with and to go through next, and I'm really, really, really dreading that. I'm really dreading that, and I just never thought that now, as young as I am now, not that young, but as young as I am, I should not have lost my parent yet. No way. I just feel like I've been robbed. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for your support also, and thank you for subscribing to our channel, and I'll check in with you guys again soon. Bye.